legacy of the Baraca class has a lot to teach us. It's a legacy of innovation. The class is rooted in a desire to be church for people who did not have and longed for church. And so at the beginning, they had all of these obstacles of technology, and they were so driven in their desire to innovate that they overcame those obstacles to be on the air and in those days live again with great difficulty, but the drive of the class was to make it happen. And they had some innovative people and people of means and people of vision who worked together to make that possible. And it's a beautiful legacy, and I think the desire to be a church for people who do not have a church is as timely today as it's ever been. Personally, the memories that I always have of Baraca are the people that I would visit in their homes or in nursing homes or in the hospital who were unable to get to church but tuned in to the Baraca class like clockwork on Sunday. I even heard stories of people who would wake up and shower and put on their Sunday best to turn on the radio because Baraca was their church. And I was always grateful for Lawrence Webb for his great teaching, because his voice was wonderful in the landscape of church broadcasts. He gave great teaching and wonderful sermons and thoughtful sermons, and represented the class and the church so well in his stewardship of that ministry as the teacher.
Well, my biggest single memory is working with the Baraca class. The Baraca class came on the air 87 years ago, and I was born 4 months after it went on the air, but I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Well, the fact of longevity, I think, is part of it. A lot of people listen to the Baraca class. Just all along, we get feedback from people who listen to us. I have a number of people who tell me that they listen to me on the way to their 11 o'clock church service, and that's good to know. I remember going to a funeral out in I guess maybe the Whitefield community years ago. I wasn't in charge of the funeral, but after the service, I was standing talking with somebody, and I noticed across the way these two women kept looking at us. And after a while, she came over and said, "Are you Lawrence Webb?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." I thought maybe I had preached in her church sometime. But she said, "I recognize your voice. I listen to Baraca." So we have a lot of faithful listeners.
I just married a merit. I do not sing. They always wanted me to, but no, I don't sing. But I married a merit, and I married the music. And one of the funny parts about it is the music was picked out on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon and put on a little index card. And in the later years, when we went to the Clemson football games, Mary Louise Hanvey, who was the pianist, and Dan Merritt, who was a song director, sat in the back of the car and picked out the songs for Sunday morning at the tailgate while we set up the tailgate lunch.
And now the Merritts did the music here forever, right?
70 years. Dan did it for 50 years, and my husband, Phil, did it for 20 years till he passed away. Oh, I miss it terribly. I can't. It's just unbelievable how much I miss it, because it's still written all over my house. It's still all over my house.
The memory and the history of it's going to continue here
Forever.
Remember it forever, correct?
Forever. Yes. And we did the birthday and anniversaries, and we were taught when I did food here for 21 years, and a friend of mine and I were in the kitchen we were talking about the old folks in the church, like Horace Summey, David Martin, and all those old people. And we were talking about them, and all of a sudden we looked at each other and said, "We are the old people of the church." But the Baraca class, definitely. My whole family, my children are all, of course, Tweety Merritt was Dan's daughter, and she sang solos. my children came over, they sang, my children would come over and they'd sing with the choir when they came. And anybody that came to visit the class, if they wanted to sing, they could sing with them.
I'm Jack Abram. I'm assistant professor of education business at Erskine College and also teach business at Anderson University. Been a short time member of the Baraca class compared to some of the members that have been here, but I am the acting president of the Baraca class.
And how long have you been involved?
About 5 years. And Lawrence Webb married my recently deceased wife in the Baraca class, which was one of the interesting events of the Baraca history.
What have we lost now that this class is closing? What are we going to be missing now?
Well, I look at it from the demographics perspective. A lot of the members who were here in the 60s, 70s, 80s obviously have passed on, and it's becoming more difficult for some of the larger traditional churches to maintain active membership, and that has trickled down to the Sunday school classes, and I believe that's the Baraca class is struggling with the members. When we used to have 100 members on a Sunday school class, and now we're down to 10 or 15.
Will you miss the fellowship?
Absolutely. When my now recently passed wife, she died in January, cancer, that I wasn't able to attend church because of her medical condition, and I'm very much need and appreciating being able to come back, being involved in the Baraca effort, the Sunday school classes, the morning sanctuary classes, and I need it, and I would think a lot of people would need it. If you're not coming to church, come to Anderson First Baptist Church and be fulfilled with the Word of God.